Thanks, Molly, and for MnTech for getting us together tonight to talk about this topic, as it is so key for us, for all the stuff that Joel was talking about. But I want to start out with a story tonight, and it's a story about the most impactful text that I received in recent memory. I was working with a young man on helping him find a job. This young man had had a tough go of it. He'd lived in a refugee camp for a period of time. He came to the U.S. on a scholarship for college. That got cut short by COVID. He did a little reset and enrolled in one of the local IT boot camps in town, and that's where I met him. And his message to me was, "Dave, sorry it's so late, but I couldn't wait to tell you. I just got a job at U.S. Bank." It chokes me up a bit even. So then I congratulated him, and he said, "And I couldn't have done it without you." Now some of that is a yes, and some of that is a no for me. The no part is that he was in the interview, he represented himself, and he did that very well. The yes part was that my involvement did make a difference. And that's what I'd like to touch on tonight, that our involvement can make a difference in early career hiring. What U.S. Bank got from this was a very sharp mind and a very energetic employee. And let's just say he's going to be tough to keep up with. And I tell you this story to highlight three things about early career hiring. The first is that talent is available. The second is that this is going to be a strategic pipeline for us for filling our roles. And the third is that it's impactful. Because it becomes good for business, because we get resources. It becomes good for innovation and diversity, because we get in new perspectives. And it's good for the community, because it provides opportunity. Because if we don't do this, if we don't upskill and we don't give opportunity to some of the early career professionals, we're just going to have a major gap in our talent pool. Joel referenced some of these statistics. I think he first broke it at the Workforce Summit with some of these, and I latched onto that, and I have been thinking about that a lot since then. The 8,000 open positions posted each month in Minnesota, and only 1,000 are filled. A possible resolution of that is all of these college students who are graduating with computer science degrees, and that's assuming they all stay in Minnesota. And why would anyone not want to stay in Minnesota? But part of the study was they added up all of those, and that was only 2,000. And so, the gap isn't narrowing there. U.S. Bank started to lean into this about a dozen years ago in the area of mainframe application developers. Because the death of the mainframe seemed to be grossly exaggerated, and there was no institutions training COBOL and job control language programmers. So we started our own program. There are no prerequisites for any degree or any previous experience. We give an aptitude test just to gauge a little bit of best chance for success. But there's been tremendous demand for this program. We run a couple cohorts a year, and an interesting part of this is that the retention from the cohorts coming out of this program have been very, very high. Just an interesting element of that. But I'd like to tell you about 4 other areas where U.S. Bank has activities in the early career hiring. The first is our summer intern program for college students. As they come in and they get an opportunity to see the company, see our values, see our culture, see what opportunities might be available for them over a 10-week period, and see how they might thrive at U.S. Bank. A second area we've been involved in is Girls Who Code, which is a great program for encouraging those going into technology, especially women. And I had an interesting conversation with a woman who we were interviewing who was coming out of this program, and she said, I can tell that U.S. Bank is serious about diversity because you're engaged with this program. And that's something I think we all need to be serious about, supporting our young people in this, because many of them don't see themselves as technologists. Unfortunately, especially women. And so that becomes a challenge for us to lean into this and support our young people in this. I was on, there's a MnTech event a week ago, and it was talking to some of the boot camp students in town, and I was on a panel for that, and I was encouraging the students not to let the imposter syndrome set in, which is just so common. And a young man came up to me afterwards and said, man, that's just where I've been living. That's really a hard thing. And I hear that so commonly from students. And I just had another conversation Tuesday with someone. And so that becomes a big deal for us to support our young people in their endeavors and to encourage them in this. A third area that we're working in is as far as the college hiring, and we're expanding our program with a rotation program, and that's bringing us a number of very talented students and just eager. They are ready to conquer the world. And it is just great, and it's just fun to be around. And the last one I'll mention, and I touched on a little bit, is our involvement with some of the IT boot camps in town. And this has just been a great partnership for us, and a lot of wonderful talent has come out of these programs into the bank. And the benefits to it, though, are multi-dimensional. The base level is just great talent that's coming in. In addition, it becomes an opportunity for students from underserved populations. Because for them to get some of these experiences is just very hard. And the talent, though, that we get from these students, or the sourcing from these students, has made a big impact in a number of areas in the bank. But then all of this we need to undergird with education. And it's important, as we, like other companies, are leaning in with the continuous learning for the employees so they can keep learning and feel like they're growing. But it needs to be said probably out loud that it takes a lot of time and effort to do all this too. Experienced people need to take time away from what they're doing to help the less experienced people. The sprints need to be adjusted with tasks that are more complicated and less complicated. It takes creativity and innovation and senior leader support. But what's the alternative? We don't have anybody to give tasks to. So it becomes critical for us. Another element at the bank that we have is technology managers are empowered to give all employees 8 hours in their monthly schedule for doing training, so that the employees feel like they're growing, expanding, and we're positioning ourselves for the technology of the future. So the journey for all of us is going to be to come to terms with the new reality of this talent pipeline. And it just doesn't look, some of the stuff Joel was talking about, it's not going to go away anytime soon. And the landscape, though, is going to force us into looking at this in a new way. As I reflect on my personal involvement with the early career hiring, it's just energizing. It's just fun. There's a special spark there. But it becomes more than just a good thing to do, for some of these reasons that I've talked about. It really does become pivotal for us to maintain and sustain a robust and vibrant technical community. But as we empower our employees and we partner with the community and we invest in the early or the continuous learning for our employees, the result is a win-win for all. And together we can all make a difference in it. Thanks.